I do think there's a shift in heaven that actually is going to bring a shift in earth. We've had it, we're having it economically, we're having it, environmentally, the wars, all sorts, the pandemic, everything that's happened, is shifting things in our society. We know that. And I believe that the heaven, pandemic never took heaven by surprise, you know that. Never took God by surprise. And God always turns things around for his good. I'm not here to celebrate the pandemic, I'm not here to celebrate any trouble, but what I'm saying is God has a way, and I believe that he's bringing new dreams into people, and that to be lived out in the marketplace, whether it be in education, whether it be in business, whether it be in social environments, whatever it is. And those dreams that God's starting to put in people in the pew are going to be more outside the walls of the church than in. And that isn't strange, that's godly, that's his way, and we need to understand that. There's a paradigm shift going on. I just want to give you a few points. I know Chris went through a few points, but I want to just give you a few points of what I believe really is happening and shifting that legitimises marketplace ministry. We need to understand that heaven has shifted and the church needs a radical reformation to really have the impact that God desires it to have. I believe in the church, but the church needs to have, and it doesn't matter what denomination, doesn't matter what stream, I'm not here to promote or deny anything, because I think God moves in any stream. He looks for a right heart of men and women who say yes to God. So we need to understand that. So firstly, we need to understand, I've said this, but if you're taking notes, that when God is moving outside the walls of the church in a new and powerful way. Marketplace ministry is part of that expression. Secondly, God is wanting to legitimise the call to the marketplace. You may not feel that you get that same affirmation of call as perhaps someone who says they're called to the ministry. I want to say to you all, you're called to the ministry. Absolutely. You're priesthood of all believers. You're ministers of Jesus Christ. You can be a bricklayer, you can be a business person, you can be a social reformer, you're a minister of Jesus Christ. And you've got to go into the marketplace with that mandate on your life. With that understanding that you're not about your business, you're about the Father's business. Jesus said, I've come to be about my Father's business. And I just believe we've got to carry that spirit in us into normal day living that brings supernatural activity, amen? I told you about the head in one of our schools, and just saw someone, and then she sends me this note and said, just to let you know, I'm going to a church, got baptised, my family's baptised. We didn't even know what was going on. But she noticed something. We didn't have to preach at her. We didn't have to have a crusade. But she noticed something going on that was genuine, authentic in the marketplace. And what you carry in your heart needs to not be carried privately, but needs to be carried in a confident way. Not in a preachy way, but in a confident way. If we believe we're authentic, there's nothing wrong with confidence. I think we're too apologetic as Christians, I really do. We kind of say, I'm sorry about that. No one wants to follow something that you apologise for. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I'm not about arrogance. I'm all about godly confidence. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between godly confidence and personal arrogance. Yeah. Godly confidence still carries humility. Yeah? I might be wrong. But I can confidently confess something still. And so, I think we get a little mixed up with all that. I believe that, what is happening in now, people are starting, and what we're trying to do here is being equipped for career and work with kingdom being central in what we do. And some people have asked the question, what do you mean by kingdom? God's kingdom coming to this earth. His ways, his values, his life being demonstrated in every corner of society. You say, really? Yeah, I believe it. I really believe that that's not only what God wants, but I believe he's stirring God's people again. We do not need to be apologetic. We need to move forward in our call and be legitimised in God's calling on us. I think God is also, redefining success with an eternal perspective. What is success? We're asked that many times, aren't we? My success is about releasing as many people as I can into their God-given dream. That's it. That was it when I was pastoring the church. That's it what I'm doing here. That's what I'm doing with Grace. If you want to cut me in half, may success be that I am part of releasing as many people into their God-given dream and helping them on their way. I believe lives will be transformed whatever then, because of the passion that's being carried. I wonder what your dream is really. You know, redefining success has to come in words like legacy. So, you know, I've shared some things with you today. I don't really want to see them as Gary's memories. I want to see them as legacy. You know, that something that lives on. Legacy is something that lives on after we've gone in people's lives. A memory is something once Gary did. A legacy is something that's living on in a person who's alive now. You got me? So sowing into the next generation, sowing into people is so important. And we can do that within our workplace. You know, we talked about buildings, but just a few years ago, I'll tell you another story, just a few years ago, mission cut me in half again. You know, I'm a mission person, and I was pastoring a church, first church I was pastoring, so a few years ago, and I was going on mission to Zimbabwe.
Oh.
My parents were actually missionaries in Zambia.
Wow.
And that's a story because when I was in business with them and I went into ministry, my father was a Christian, but he didn't want me to go into ministry.
Wow.
He wanted me to stay in the business. And I worked myself into a little bit of a partnership and everything. And he said to me, he said, Gary, if you go into ministry, that's fine, but you won't have your partnership. Money. I don't know about you, but we always work things out, don't we? And I thought, if I get that money, I'll pay my mortgage down. I won't earn as much in ministry. Everything will be cool. Obviously, life didn't quite work out like that. And my dad didn't want to give me any money. Christian. I had to go on my knees and let it go. Here we go again. Just let it go. I love my dad, love my mom. Still the same. And I did. And the amazing that, you know, that's okay. But, you know, the story goes actually when my grandfather died, Chris knows this, but in his will, he left me my partnership money, which my dad didn't even know was there. Can you imagine the smile in the room? But you know, that was new money because I'd let it die. But the real thing happened. I became the senior pastor of a church that my parents attended. And I was their son and pastor. And one day a knock came at my door and at the church, and it was my dad. And I said, yeah. And he just goes, your dad? He just said, all right. I said, come in here. He didn't have to knock, but he was trying to, you're my pastor. So he walked in, sat, and I said, what's up, Dad? And he said, I need to talk with your son. He always called me son when he was being serious. You know, it was never Gary when he's serious, he was son. And he said, son, I need to speak with you. I said, what is it? And he paused and he started to get emotional. My dad wasn't really an emotional man. I said, what's up, Dad? He said, I'm sorry. So what you sorry for? He said, I now get the call of God. What you had a few years ago.
Wow.
And I was a bit of a barrier to you. I didn't make it easy. I said, oh, Dad, it's okay. He said, no, he says, I've come to speak to you as my pastor.
Wow.
Because I've now got the call of God.
Wow.
I'm selling the business.
Wow.
And I want to go to Zambia and be a missionary with your mum.
Wow.
Will you send me?
Wow.
What a privilege.
Wow.
We could have fell out and he didn't give me the money.
Wow.
Just hear me.
Wow.
We could have not spoke again.
Wow.
Could have justified it. He wasn't fair. Wasn't fair. You know, some things just ain't fair, are they?
Yeah.
But how we deal with it, and what happened was my dad came in, then my mum came in, and he just said, son, we want to go, and want to go in 3 months, but would you pray us out? And I'll tell you something. Few fathers have their opportunity and privilege of sending their kids out. But less kids have the opportunity of sending their
They've
parents out.
said that out. Wow.
And I sent both my mum and dad out to the mission field to Zambia where they served for 12 years.
Wow.
And my mum and dad are now in heaven. But they served God and they served their dream.
Wow.
And that which had become a barrier even in the business, if I'm honest,
Wow.
became a bridge. And you know, that was something which, out of the marketplace, into the mission field. You know, again, don't stumble, and I want to say, don't stumble over things that you feel down or disappointed about. What happened then was wrong, but I didn't let that wrong keep ruling my spirit, because it becomes a barrier for you to move on. And every one of us has those things. So, my legacy even was in my parents, who served God and did some incredible things in Zambia for many years. Another thing that happened as well, that when I was in mission in Zimbabwe, you know, I left business, went into ministry, but always wanted to see marketplace and everything just impacted, just in my heart. And I was in Zimbabwe one day, but when I left the church, well, I didn't leave the church, but I was going out, my leaders and my wife said to me, Gary, don't get any more vision. We got enough. They knew what I was like, see. And I said, no, what? I said, just don't get any more vision. Don't bring any more vision back to the church. Just don't take any more. I said, okay. Then I went out to Zimbabwe, met a missionary there who I knew very well. And I saw children dying with AIDS. I saw children being born with AIDS. And my heart was stirred. And it was stirred, then I think about my wife and the church back home. Then I look at the kids. I thought, God, do something. God, do something. And so I said to the missionary, we'll build an orphanage. I'll get the money somehow, we'll do it.
Wow.
Thinking in the other side, I promised no more vision. Then this missionary said to me, there's a guy who wants a breakfast with you tomorrow morning. That's why I'm going to write a book, actually. I said, what? He said, yeah, he's a boat builder. A boat builder in Zimbabwe. I was waiting for the next statement for him to say his name was Noah, but it wasn't. Anyway, I met this guy. His name was Tony Turner. I remember it very clearly. Met him for breakfast, and he said, Gary, God told me to build a boat, and I built one. I said, right. He said, and I took it by land from Zimbabwe to the ocean. And he showed me these photographs of this big boat, 90-foot schooner. And he said, I put it in the water. And then I started to sail it as a mission yacht. But I've had a disaster. It's all gone wrong. I said, oh, that's terrible, I'm sorry to hear that. He said, no, I was disobedient. God told me to build the boat, but not to sail it. And I wanted to sail it. I said, oh, right. You got to understand, I've lived in Coventry, in the middle, the furthest place away from any ocean in this land. I don't know anything about sailing or boats. And this guy said to me, I want to give you my boat. I said, what am I going to do with it? He said, don't know, but God's told me I've got to give you my boat. Well, now, you've got to remember, my wife and the leadership said no more vision. I'm now ending up with a burden to build an orphanage for kids with AIDS. So my heart was stirred. And then this crazy guy comes and gives me a boat. And you know, God must have a sense of humour, mustn't he? He must have a sense of humour, Chris says, yeah. And anyway, I said to him, let me just go home and think about it. I flew home, said to my wife, you never guess what's happening. She said, I don't want to know. I said, I've got to build an orphanage. Why got to build an orphanage? She said, no, this kid's got to do something. And the other thing is, Helen, that's my wife, I said, I've been given a boat. She said, what? I said, I've been given a 90-foot schooner. She thought I was having a run. I said, hey, it's the photos. I said, I want to take it on. And I want to bring it right up from Africa to Europe.
Wow.
For it to sail Paul's journeys.
Wow.
And put people on, because it slept about 18 people. My wife's just like, well, even if I say yes, the leaders won't say yes. So I went to the church leaders, and of course they said, nah, can't do it. Can't put it into church. So I persuaded them I could set up a new trust that would carry both these things.
Wow.
And then they said, you can't go for an offering for the orphanage because church has already given. So I lay in bed, and I'm not a creative, but I'm a creative thinker. You know, there's a difference. And I said to God, if you give me this, what am I going to do? And God gave me this crazy idea. He says, why don't you give the church some money? I said, what do you mean? And I got this idea, if I went to 3 businessmen, including myself, put, I don't know, I think it was about £1,500 each in the pot, and then gave everyone in the church 20 quid. So I went to the leaders and said, I don't want to take an offering, but can I give them some money? They go, what? I said, I just want to give people some money. Of course, the ulterior motive was that they would go away, invest it, do something and multiply it and come back with some money. So they said, okay, then you can do that. So one Sunday morning, I went before the church and I gave everyone an envelope and £20 in it. And I told them the story about the orphanage. And I said, some of you may need this £20 to go and buy a meal. Use it to buy a meal. Some of you may not want to join me on the journey. You can put the money back in the pot. Or some of you may have the vision where you can go and multiply this £20. Do whatever you like, bake cakes, do anything. And in 2 months' time, bring back what you've made. And we'll build an orphanage. So that's what we did. And out of, I think I donated, I don't know, in the end £3,000, £60,000 came back in 2 months later.
Wow.
They turned the £20 into 60,000.
Wow.
And the orphanage was built, still being run today.
Wow.
And kids are still being blessed.
Wow.
Didn't ask for nothing.
Wow.
Gave them something. You've got to be a creative thinker.
Wow.
Got me?
That's good.
The boat? Well, the boat's another story. I had to find a crew. I did have to find a crew, rang around. Got one guy that I knew sailed, flew down to him to examine the boat. Me and him flew to Dar es Salaam, wherever it was. Looked at the boat. Thought, yeah, we'll take it. He said, but I'm not sailing up, you've got to get a captain. Somehow I found a captain who was willing to do it for nothing. Obviously.
Wow.
Then I put a crew together. And within 6 weeks, the crew and the captain flew down there, got things together and started to sail the boat
Wow.
up. There was many miracles on the way.
Wow.
One of the main miracles, I want to share this because you've got to have the miraculous of God in your dream. You've got to invite the supernatural of God in your dream so that the story has the mark of God in it, yeah? You can't do, if you can do, I've said this afternoon already, if you can do the dream by yourself, it ain't a God dream. And so, started sailing it, and then the captain rang me and he said, you know, we're just about to go off Somalia. And I said, there's pirates off Somalia. He said, yeah, I know. I said, you need to go way out, you know? And we're naive. I don't know how to sail a boat, I don't know about pirates, but I knew that. So he said, we'll do this. Anyway, it was a 3-day journey, sailing off there, back to the next port. I was driving up the M6, I can tell you exactly where I was now. And the radio, I'm listening to the radio, and suddenly there's a news flash. Yacht been ransacked, captain been killed, off Somalia. My heart sank, literally, thinking, God, what have I done? What's happened? And it was probably about 8 hours later I managed to get in touch with the boat and realised that it wasn't our captain. It was a boat that was 4 hours ahead of them. And then I heard the story that a boat that was 6 hours behind them had also been ransacked. But we had not been touched. And I'll tell you why we've not been touched. We checked all the weather, everything was good. But somehow, in between that 4 hour and 6 hour, in the middle, a storm blew up. A really bad storm. Which the crew would say they didn't know if they were going to survive the storm. What they didn't know was the storm protected them. Because the pirates couldn't get near them. I know it sounds crazy, it is crazy, it's an absolute true story. And they got into shelter, and the storm was what saved them. I've learned from that, not to always criticise the storm.
Some storms are a blessing.
You know, guess what happened to me last week? It was terrible. Might just have saved you.
Wow.
Yeah. Something bad happened to me last week, which made me do this. Might just have been a diversion God put there. Because not every storm comes to destroy you.
Amen.
Some storms are there to protect you.
Oh, yeah.
And the boat made it. There's a whole another story made up, and yeah, we did a lot of things wrong, like we brought it to Greece and then forgot we'd imported it and got it impounded. Let me tell you the worst as well. Didn't know that. Had to say it out quickly to Turkey so we got the captain out of prison. Oh yeah, those things happened. And then we did all the paperwork right, got it surveyed, got it back into Greece, and then we looked after it in the trust for about 12 years while it sailed around. And to this day, it still sells, taking young men and young women
Wow.
around Paul's journeys in the Med.
What's the website for that?
You know, I need to give you that. It's Torchbearers. that now run it.
Torchbearers.
They
So-
now run it down in Greece.
So the boat, you got it from Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
In Kariba?
No, it wasn't in Kariba. That's where it was built,
Wow.
Kariba. But then it was
I
taken
lived
by
in
land.
Kariba, yeah, that's why I'm like
yeah, I know Kariba. I've been to
intrigued.
Kariba, yeah.
Wow.
So we have to redefine success with eternity in mind.
Wow.
Yeah? We have to understand that the favour is the most important currency you can gain.
Yes, Lord.
Most people that come online say, I need money. You need favour.
That's right.
Favour is worth a lot more than money.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we need God's favour on what we do. We need God's favour. Favour can come through people, it can come through all sorts. But yeah, I understand money. But favour is more important.
Yeah.
Favour is the currency of heaven, which you and I need to achieve what he puts in our hearts. And anything in Marketplace, don't just see this as church. That's why I'm saying Marketplace is a legitimate place to receive the favour of God and have that currency. You're going to need it so that you can move forward.
What's favour?
Is there a video? Have you done a video on this?
No,
Why not?
I will do one then, okay? You've told me now.
Wow, it's like a film, a
We've got
documentary.
a-
It's like a documentary. I could see, you know, I could see them
Can I
faintly
interview you?
captured.
You've got a filmmaker here.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm better on radio. Anyway.
You've got a face for film, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
You
And
go
then
for
six,
it.
living out values imperfectly is what our command is in the workplace and marketplace, not perfectly. Authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about honesty. Authenticity isn't that I got it right all the time, but occasionally saying to people, I didn't get that right, I'm sorry. People don't mind that. And I've been sold a ticket, I've been in church all my life, I've been sold a religious ticket that I've got to be right all the time. And if I fail, I've got to hide it. It is a religious ticket that the world does not want to receive. They want to receive an authentic ticket of us being imperfect people, but having a God who's perfect, who we follow and love with a
Wow.
passion. That's what they want. So we're living in days where there's a heavenly shift, and where marketplace is realised as our main mission field. That's why God's pulling those calls in you right now. And I think, God cares about a lot of things, practically. He cares about how you handle money. Psalm 37:21, if you want to jot the scripture down. He cares about how you lead with your attitude, James 3:1. He cares about how you treat people, Matthew 7:12. He cares about how you personally grow, because he knows you've got to grow to fulfill the dream, 1 Timothy 4:8. He cares about how you spend your spare time. Look, I go on holidays and I believe in holidays, I believe in time off, but it doesn't mean I take time off from God.
No.
I take time off from ministry and work. Yeah. Our kids, whenever we went away, we don't stop being Christians, and we still pray, we still talk, we still do things. We share communion together quite a bit actually when we go away with our kids, just in the home. So let's break bread. Let's share. The kids have been brought up with that, which is important. It's not a religious activity. It's a relational. God is the centre of our home. He's the one that makes it happen. Yeah? He cares about you more than what you do. Psalm 32, verse 8. I think, what God is saying now. Let's stop putting our hats, our glasses, our Bibles in our pockets when we go to church. And let's put them on when we go out on Monday into the workplace. I ain't on about preaching at people. I'm on about being who God has called you to be. People, there's a lack of great leadership in this country and our Western nation.
Yep.
Integrity, don't even know if people know how to spell the word. We're not going to be perfect, but we have a set of values in the Word of God that can change this world.
Amen.
And in the marketplace, wherever we go, we don't just need business people, we need lovers of God who do business well. You know, I shared the example of even my own family. I don't deserve that favour, they did it. But they saw something years ago that integrity mattered. Thank God for that. You know, you may have heard of this, and I'm going to end with this. But you know, there are 7 mountains of influence. You may have heard this before. Marketplace influences that he's talked about. Family, religion, education, media, entertainment, business and government. And we need people in all of those areas. We need to be holistic in our approach. We need to be passionate in how we do things. And as much as we may raise, I don't know which churches you're in, but we may worship on a Sunday with passion, we need to take that same passion in the way we live, give and work in the marketplace. And do you know what? The marketplace will be incredible this year. It won't be just a theoretical one. It won't be an unreached one. Because people like you will be reaching where you've been called to reach. And I think we're living in exciting days. I know that we've all tried to be dampened through this last 2 years. What's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. It depends where you're looking. It depends who you're listening to, or depend what you do and how you live. I choose that this next decade is going to be the best ever. Like Chris said, the best dreams are yet to happen.
Yeah.
The best opportunities are yet to be seen and seized. And there needs to be a generation. When I say a generation, I'm not about age. I'm talking about a generation that says, yes, the time is now. Amen?
Amen.
Good people, I appreciate it.
Gary, can you just give the